So good morning. I'm pleased to have Dave Keys with me today. Dave is a native New Yorker, keyboardist, singer, and songwriter, and a 30-year veteran of the blues and American roots music scene. So Dave, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Great. So may I ask what inspired you to play the blues?
To play the blues,
Yes, sir.
the age-old question. It just was, it's real music. When I was a kid growing up, um, I always gravitated towards, I was into the Allman Brothers, really. I think that's probably where it started for me, and listening to those records and hearing where they got their influences from and seeing who wrote the songs that they were doing, all the old blues guys. And you know, that's just it's music of the heart.
Cool. How has your sound evolved over the years?
Well, it's I was always into, as in my younger days, I was into guys like Leon Russell and Ray Charles and Professor Longhair. I got into in high school, and so the sound. I mean, for me, there's two aspects to the sound. There's the sound of the piano playing, and there's the sound of my voice, and I guess the sound of me as an artist too. So the voice has just developed over a period of time because I'm not one of those people who has a great voice naturally, and it's just something that I've worked at, and I kind of developed a style and found my own voice really. Um, so that's something that really develops. In terms of the piano playing, uh, I was always into the boogie stuff,
Hmm.
and um, then I got into Ray Charles as a piano player too, really. People don't think of him so much as a piano player, but he's really a terrific piano player. And, some jazz elements get involved in there. And like I said, the Professor Longhair stuff. So
Awesome.
that's what it folks, yeah.
Okay. I see that you were an IBC winner.
I was.
Any advice for the upcoming participants that are going to be participating next year?
Sure. I won in 2000, which was a lifetime ago, it seems like. And the IBC was much smaller at that time. I think there were probably 70 bands total. There was no international, very few international acts or presence. Um, so it was a little different then. But the what I would say is stay true to your blues roots, but also don't be afraid to do your own thing. I went down. They had the. I go down for the BMAs.
Yeah,
Uh,
congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you, thank you. Hopefully, one of these years we'll take one home. But being nominated is really a great honor. But a couple of years ago, because of COVID, I think it was, they ended up having the IBCs at the same time as the BMAs, and it was really refreshing to see the all the enthusiasm of the IBC participants. But it was also um, a lot of people are playing the same songs, you
Hmm.
know, the same 12 bar stuff. And then there's a lot of people are playing Purple Rain and stuff like that, and Hendrix or whatever. And that stuff's been done, so make it your own.
Hmm.
Like if you have an original sound, it's really helpful, in sticking out from the rest of the crowd. But also the main thing is be professional. You know, look like you're somebody that is deserves to deserves the attention of an artist that's going to make you stick out, whether it's the way you dress, whether it's the way you handle yourself on stage, whether it's the way that you connect with the audience. These are all things that it's not like you're playing in a bar anymore. You're in competition with, I don't know how many acts there are, 150 now.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So you really got to stand out and be yourself, but be the best version of yourself that you can be.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
So you have a long history with Broadway. You had Smokey Joe's Cafe and then most recently Rock and Roll Man.
Yep.
Do you miss it?
Uh,
Probably a double-edged sword here.
It was a double-edged sword. Doing that work it's incredibly, it's more demanding than anything I've ever done. Um, Smokey Joe's I did for 6 years in the 90s. And it's not really, it's more getting the show on its feet that is the hard part. The amount, the 18 hours days for 6, 7 days a week for
Wow.
months and months on end. That's what's involved, because my role would generally be as a conductor or a music director or something like that. So there's just a ridiculous amount of work, and I love the excitement of it.
Hmm.
Um, I and as time has gone on, I didn't love the commuting into the city. Um, since COVID, just traffic is worse. I think more people driving, whatever, and
Right.
that's the part I don't miss.
Right.
I miss the uh, creative. Uh, when you're in a room with 20 or 30 people, um, and they're set designers and they're lighting designers and directors and actors, is an incredible energy that is unparalleled. I mean, what I do with my band, we get on stage, there's 4 or 5 of us, and it's really cool. It's great, but it's a different kind of energy. So
Right.
there's something really, really thrilling and unique about doing a show. And so that's the part that I miss,
Hmm.
the energy and the buzz, and it just overtakes your life in a cool way. Um, and then you're worn out, so I don't miss the worn out part.
Yeah, those
Uh,
are long days.
yeah, but the creative has, you function, you just kind of go into overdrive as an artist, and it's pretty cool. I try, and it's funny. I say to myself after every show that I do, if I could put that much energy into my own career, I'd be Elvis. It's really
Your new
hard.
nickname.
Yeah, thanks. Elvis Keys. So it's hard to replicate that sort of energy and that buzz,
Right.
but they're great experiences.
That's great. Do you have any upcoming projects or collaborations that you can share?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been doing a couple of gigs with Benny Turner, who's Fred
Mm,
King's brother, younger brother, and played bass with Freddie for a long time. And it just is a wonderful artist, really. Great singer, great bass player, real, he's 84 and just a wonderful blues guy, real blues man. And so we've got some gigs coming up. Later in the summer, and we're playing at King Biscuit in October,
great.
and so that's exciting. I'm also, yesterday I was just in the studio with Bernard Purdy and John Putnam and Jeff Anderson, and we did rhythm tracks for a new CD that'll come out some point late summer, I think. And so I'm excited about that, and just a bunch of gigs, and kind of I took a little break for a little while, and yeah, I'm just getting back to doing a lot of solo stuff and doing a
Mhm.
lot of band stuff. So that's really, I'm getting back. The Benny Turner stuff. It's not going to happen that often. When it does, it's a lot of fun. But I'm really
Sure.
focusing more on my own stuff now. Those are my projects.
Excellent. Thank you. So, speaking of all your gigs, do you have any pre-show rituals?
I do a vocal warm up.
Mhm.
Uh, I usually end up doing it in the car. It's about a 15 or 20 minute kind of sort of stupid thing. I mean, it's not stupid.
No, it works, right?
It works. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I do that. Before a gig, depending on, I'll try and make sure I play the day of a show just to keep my fingers loose. Um, I don't like to eat less than an hour before a show because it messes up your voice. even though that doesn't always work. But um, that's really my ritual. It's pretty
Okay.
straight in.
So, a fantasy question. You're stuck on an island. What are your top three albums that you would bring with you?
It's funny you say this because I just I hadn't for whatever reason I hadn't listened to my albums in a while, and I'm a album guy. I really love
Same
albums.
here.
I have I don't know what I have, 750 records
Oh my
still,
gosh.
and so I was like, what do I want to listen to? And really, without a doubt, Allman Brothers Live at the Fillmore East is one of them.
Mhm.
Um, Probably uh, Ray Charles' greatest hits, and a there's got to be a Leon Russell in there too,
Okay.
and a Little Feat record. Yeah, maybe Sailing Shoes or the one before it, or Dixie Chicken.
Okay.
Great records, I think. I don't
Cool.
know. That's my fun stuff. I mean, I've always thought that that's kind of an unfair question. It's not an unfair
Well,
question.
it's hard to limit it, right?
Yeah, I mean, what albums influenced? There's certain albums that influenced me more than any other albums. Stylistically or whatever, just because of uh, the mastery of the musicianship on it, something like that. So then you include uh or I would include a Oscar Peterson record, a jazz record,
Hmm.
John Coltrane record. But um, so there's the emotional, and albums have this thing, um, it brings you back to a time in your life,
A
you know,
memory. Yep.
memory that, maybe you want to experience that memory on the island, and you know, you're missing somebody or something, and this album brings you back. So there's that aspect. But
Yep.
I think Fillmore East, um,
That's a classic album.
Sail and Choose, and maybe the first Leon Russell album.
Hmm. I
You
miss
know,
albums too because you get to read the liners and look at the pictures and
yeah,
all that cool stuff that you kind of lose with, you definitely lose with streaming. And
yeah, you totally lose it with streaming. I mean, CDs you lose it too, but at least there was something there to
yeah,
an album. It's funny, but it's there's all these experiences that we have when we put on an album. It's like you're you see the picture, like the Allman Brother, Life at the Fillmore East. I just was looking at that picture on the front, and it just brought back, there's just so much there, and it's
yeah,
just five, six guys just laughing about the equipment. But there's something about that it's part of the music.
yeah. So you played with countless musicians over the years. Do you have any favorites and or interesting stories that you'd care to share?
Yeah, sure. Uh, you know, there's so many
I
really.
know you've,
Some stories I can't tell, but um,
yeah, we'll make it G-rated here.
yeah. I mean, playing with Chuck Berry was always a thrill for me.
Wow.
We always had fun. We got along good. With Chuck, him and Jerry Lee Lewis had this ongoing feud dating back to when uh, Chuck went on after Jerry Lee, and Jerry Lee's last number, he put lighter fluid in the piano and he, you know, lit the piano on fire. And Chuck was supposed to follow that. So anytime Chuck would hear a gliss, on the piano, it would piss him off. So I never glissed with Chuck, and we got along great. I probably did, I don't know, half a dozen gigs with him,
Oh,
different
that's
records.
great.
Yeah. And
Was that
oh
in New York?
yeah, we played it. We did 2 nights at the Lone Star Cafe. Great band, Tony Garnier and Anton Fig. Um, and Chuck was in good form. But I worked with Odetta for a while, and she was a very, um, in terms of artists that have a social importance. She was one of those people, and it was just the gigs were just piano and her. basically. So he
Wow.
traveled with her, and she was a very, very interesting, fascinating woman, and incredible artist. And so that was a special one. In terms of my growth as a musician, I worked with this rockabilly guy named Sleepy LaBeef, who was on Chess Records, and it was the first gig I got when I got out of college. And Sleepy was about 6'8",
Wow.
3 pounds, and he had really sleepy eyes. He looked really sleepy. That's why I call him Sleepy. And but he was a powerhouse rockabilly player, and he taught me a lot about performance. And I used to come out with the it was a trio backed him up, and he was guitar player, singer, and so I would come out just piano, bass, and drums, and I would do 3 or 4 songs to warm the crowd up, and it was really good for me for my development. I was fresh out of college and on the road making $175 a week and living the dream. You know,
Where
so
did you go to college?
Tufts
Okay.
up in Boston.
Okay.
Sleepy was waylaid in Boston. Uh, he had this old camper that broke down, and he broke down and ended up at a truck stop, and he just ended up playing at the truck stop for 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
He was a total classic guy and very interesting guy. But that's the way that the experiences are in the music. I mean, in all businesses, I guess,
Yeah.
but
Well,
certainly businesses. So
so being a native New Yorker, I'm sure you were part of the music scene. So any special clubs that you remember
yeah,
fondly of? I mean, gosh, there's so many. Manny's Car Wash,
yeah,
Cafe Wa, scenes.
yeah, yeah. Before that, really, Dan Lynch's was a great blues bar. It was like the blues bar on it was Second Avenue between 13th and 14th Street. I
Okay.
think it was basically an Irish bar that just had blues. It was an Irish bar kind of during the day, and then in the 70s, I'm going to say later 70s, they started having blues there. When I came back to New York after I got out of school, 1980, the there was a jam at Lynch's on Sunday afternoons, from 3 in the afternoon to like, 2 in the morning.
Wow.
And that was where I first went and where I got immersed in the blues scene there. That was where you went. And that was a great club. There was no cover charge for a long time, uh, but you could walk out of there with $1,000 for the
Wow.
day. They had a tip jar and you got a portion of the cash register. It was real old time stuff.
Oh, wow.
And it was a great, great gig. And you played weekends, during the week, it was like, I don't know, 8 to 1 or 2. And weekends, you play from 9 until 3 or 3:30. It was really a great gig. And there was that place for me and the Lone Star Cafe, which was down on 13th Street also, but on Fifth Avenue was a great room. Um, I opened up for Neville Brothers, Yellow Man, Jerry Lee Lewis, Fats Domino, just, you know, I was kind of part of the furniture there, which was great. I opened up just for a zillion people, and then I play country music there on weekends because they did have country. They have
Oh, I
two
didn't know
country.
you played country.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. That's because when I came back to the city, um, Urban Cowboy came out in the late '70s, and there was this whole country music. The clubs were all country, everything. I mean, you could work 6 nights a week just in Manhattan playing country music. Lone Star, which opened, I think, probably '76. There's a great club called City Limits on 7th Street, 10th Street and 7th Avenue that had terrific music. Um, Sundown, there was Olani's, there were a whole,
Yeah.
boatload of clubs. And so we all played a lot of country. And it was a whole dance thing, it was a real, um, was sort of pre-AIDS, pre pre everything. Drinking age was still 18. Clubs were packed 7 nights a week. And it
Yeah,
was a really wonderful time to be playing, to be a musician in the city. And, my rent was $250, in a small apartment on the Upper West Side. So,
that's cool.
you know,
Do you have any hobbies outside of music?
uh, I guess, but I never do them. I don't know. Uh, I like puttering around. I live out in the woods kind of, so I like to mow the lawn and, uh, stuff like that. Cut wood. And I like hiking. I'm
Yeah.
out this kind of guy.
You go to Harriman a lot?
I live in Harriman.
Okay.
I'm
Your
looking out.
backyard.
Yeah. So
I see you're a Yankee fan.
I am a Yankee fan.
Same
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. All right. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Hope springs eternal. We'll see.
Yeah. So my last question for you is, do you have any words of wisdom for upcoming bands out there trying to make it in the music business?
Yeah. Um, it's tough. You know, that's the first thing I would say. And, it kind of goes back to what I said about the IBCs.
Hmm.
You have to, and I wasn't really good at this either. Um, yeah, you always have to put your best foot forward. You know, it's the way you present yourself. Um, Monk had this thing. It's like a handwritten thing about how to be a musician, kind of. And I don't remember a lot of it, but it's some of the things I do remember is, be prepared.
Hmm.
You can get a moment where someone's going to call you for a gig, and it could be something that can really change your life. It can really propel your career, and make sure you're ready for it, and don't be afraid of it either. Don't be afraid of being really good. And I think as people sometimes we sort of um can I do this? Gee, I don't know, blah 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 blah. And it's really it's important. That's part of life. We all have our moments where we um doubt ourselves or whatever. And but you got to be able to, on the one hand, if you have questions about your ability, let it propel you to be a better musician or a better songwriter or singer or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Um, but don't let it drag you down. Don't shrink. Odetta was a great one. She was great. And, don't shrink from being great. I'm paraphrasing what she would say, but
Wow.
it was something like that. It's like a Marianne Williamson thing or something and but it's true. You know, be your best, and let the rest of the stuff take care of itself. And don't get caught up in the petty stuff. Just do your thing, and and try and figure out what it is that makes you special. For me, there's guys that can play rings around me, and there's people that can sing rings around me, and there's people that can perform rings around me. But I do all three of those things, and I think I do them well. And a combination of the three of those things um, has helped me.
Hmm.
It's helped me get to where I am. And there's no one size fits all. Respect your individuality, and um, don't be afraid of it. But don't be a jerk. And there's going to be crap it's like life. Like there's going to be crap that's going to happen all the time, and you're going to go, man, this is this is bull. I'm not going to do this. And, okay. And those are the guys that end up saying, well, I never got my break. Chances are your break was there,
Yeah,
but
you just didn't take it.
you didn't take it, or you were pissed off at the time and you weren't open to it.
Yeah.
You know, so
All right.
that's it.
Well, Dave, that was awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure, Christy. Thanks for all you guys are doing, and a lot of great stuff going on. And I appreciate, as a musician, I really appreciate what all you guys are doing. I know
Well,
it's
thanks.
hard work. So,
Well, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
all right, sure thing.